start, I would say, not continue with Leothayre's board of directors. Before expecting you guys to read the chapter 5, but some of you have not read. It's fine. You try to read it after today's class, and we'll be discussing that in class separately as a part of P3 when this pre-scene analysis is done. Then, interestingly, I've got one more company like Pixel Dot Space. I didn't know an Indian company was doing this. So there are a lot of companies actually they are coming into this space. So keep spending some time on researching it, or we can just as simple as go to Google and put what is happening in the space industry, what is happening in the satellite. Just put satellite news, space news. You'll get an idea what is happening internationally. And as we know in CIMA exams, what is happening in the industry, the hot topics become your exam question. I think I usually give this example. Previously, we have a company where we are managing warehouses, and it's an open secret in warehouse. The biggest problem is health and safety. We have 3 variants in CIMA exam. Out of 3, 2 questions, 2 variants have health and safety questions. Excuse me. Then we have a mining company. So in mining, what's the biggest problem? It's environment, isn't it? Again, most of the variants have questions coming from environment point of view. So it's very easy to guess sometime if you know what things are happening in the industry. In fact, the previous one was so specific in the mining that we were mining for lithium, and the price of lithium was going down because the demand for batteries, ultimately the electric vehicles which is using lithium batteries, right? Because of that, the price has gone up and suddenly it went down because the demand for EV electric vehicle went down. And the same question we got in the exam. So a quick and smart way to keep a close eye what is happening in the industry. You don't need to be industry expert, but it's very important to have a decent idea what is happening in the industry. Any questions on that?
No.
All right. Now we'll be starting with board of directors. The aim is simple: to know our leadership. What type of question can be asked from here? So sometimes it can be a direct question, sometimes it can be indirect question. A direct question can be, let's say, a CEO resign or a chairperson resign, or sometimes it's not resign, they have been accused of something unethical or a fraud. Then we have to forcefully make them go. Or in certain cases, they would leave us and join our competitor. Or in certain cases, there can be a medical issue or any other unfortunate event for that the space is left. Other reason can be they are not competent enough. Though you are a senior manager, but there can be a direct question to evaluate the performance of chairperson, evaluate the performance of CEO, CFO. So you should be very clear what is the role a chair can be playing. Are they doing it properly or not? What is the role CEO should do? Are they doing it properly or not? Everybody is for their work throughout the year. And if they are capable, then only they will be continuing for the next year. Who will be doing that? So we have different committees: Information Committee, Remuneration Committee, Risk Committee, Audit Committee. So usually to look at the board composition, make the changes, recommend further changes, it is coming on the Nomination Committee. Okay. We'll be looking at it according to UK Corporate Governance Code. So that can be one question. Another question can be on the effectiveness of committee itself. Where the committee is effective, do we need to change the committee? Or sometimes what happens, certain people are not allowed in committees. For example, chairperson is not allowed in the committee. However, in most cases we see, especially from last few pre-scenes, the chairperson is sitting in the audit committee. So what is happening? Directly, the effectiveness of the committee is being reduced. Now, is it illegal? Do we have any compliance issue with that? No, we cannot. But is it a best case? No. So there is a difference. When you talk about corporate governance, we have 2 major things if you look at globally. One is rule-based approach, second is principle-based approach. So if we talk about rule-based approach, let's say US companies or those who are following US model, they have to either comply Otherwise, face the consequences. There is no gray area. Either they have to do it. If they don't do, there will be complaints. There will be issue like fines, litigation, and a lot of things. And second approach is principal approach. What we follow for our CIMA and a lot of other Commonwealth countries, they follow a principle based approach. So here you comply or explain, or you will have consequences. So there is a middle way out. What is that? To explain. That is an advantage for us. So in that we can explain why we think like chairperson is sitting in the audit committee, things like that. For example, every listed company should have an internal audit. But if you are following principle based approach, we can still survive and be a listed company without having an internal audit. But in rule based approach, we cannot do that. In principle based approach, we can do if we are justifying every year need internal audit and how we are still efficient and effective. Still we are managing our internal controls without the. Make sense? So it's good to remember the person's name. Name, at least you can remember the position. Let's say Fatima, just remember the first name, chair, and what is the background. Why it is important? Because in exam you might use that person's skill. Sometimes a question can come, we are going for a specific new project, or we are diversifying our business altogether. So in that case, if you feel a specific person has that skill, let's say Robert has that skill, so you can say, Mr. Robert can be, or Robert our CEO can lead this project. Or if it is related to some other person, let's say a COO is there or CFO is there. Now we are doing for aerospace company. Let's say this person has a background on, I'm just saying, okay, this person has background in aircraft also. And tomorrow we thought of why don't we supply or support aircraft also, commercial aircraft. So you can say, Min Chai can lead this project because they have experience in dealing that kind of business. Make sense? So go through it number of times and you should know the background of the people, what they are doing, what they are bringing on the table. So we need to do a SWOT analysis for the pre-scene, entire pre-scene. Then we need to do SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, specifically for the board of directors also. We have the SWOT for the entire pre-scene in the familiarity kit also for Kaplan. I'll share that with you after today's class. We have Pestle, SWOT, but I want you guys to also work on it. Any question, anyone?
No, it's okay. Fine.
All right. Thanks, Joseph. Let's start. Fatima Ayub, non-executive chair. Fatima is an electronic engineer by training. She spent 20 years working for a major car manufacturer. Initially in manufacturing and laterally in research and development. So we have got somebody from manufacturing business. Okay. What we are doing Leothayre is we are not direct manufacturers. We are supporting someone. So if somebody is good in manufacturing, they might be good at operation and the cost and the supply chain. That may be an advantage, and especially with R&D, maybe another advantage. But electronic engineer, maybe aerospace engineer can be better or a different expertise. Let's see what else she's bringing. She left the manufacturer to take up the role of head of education with the Wexland Faculty of Engineers. She was subsequently promoted to chief executive of the faculty. So I believe why she would have got promoted here. Another reason can be a relationship with the education, because for our business we need research and development, which is very important, which is a core competence, and it doesn't make sense to spend everything on our own. It is important to tie up with other players, let's say universities, because they might have students or research students who are working on a similar project. So it will create a synergy. It will also give us access to the pool of talent. She now combines her position on Leothayre's board with a visiting lecturer in electronic engineering at Capital University. Khatim was appointed as Leothayre's non-executive chair in 2022. So, what is the strength and weakness she is bringing on? You see in the profile. Ideally, if you look for someone in a company, it will show for like an entire page. We just have few lines. What else do you think she's bringing on table? What is the strength and weakness?
One thing is she has a vertical experience, very strong experience in the industry, manufacturing industry. So she knows very well about the culture and behavior of the stuff. The second thing is like she has the education, moreover, if any employee wanted to upscale the knowledge or skill, something like that in the manufacturing side, space, maybe started manufacturing, she can coordinate and ensure that they get upscale. So she can do it.
Your voice was not that clear.
Oh, sorry.
Just for information. But Misbah, like what I can say it is about, especially on the research and development, she had a good experience, because this is what is the key factor for the Leothayre point of view, because we will be involved in a lot of times with the research and development. When we say that, it is a lot of innovative technologies, or leveraging the existing technology, or adopting the quick emerging technologies into this space satellite designing process. So she can add a value by giving her thoughts, or what is the setting the expectations or the objectives for the Leothayre board. That's what I'm thinking. And also, like, she is an visiting lecturership to the engineering college, especially with the electronic division. So that will also help in terms of like the good students or the brilliant student, they can get a chance for the internships or for their projects. And see, generally nowadays what is happening, it is a trend that all the university students, or some of their hobbies it might be, or some of them it is as part of their internship, they do develop their small cube satellites, very small satellites, micro or nano, and they try to launch with this tie-ups, or since the chair is sharing or doing a dual role here, it might be an advantage to grab the skilled students. That's what I think.
Right. Makes sense. So being in that student community will add a lot of.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible, but little light, Shiva. But I can still hear you. You can
It
be
is
loud.
loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not the voice is not clear. I think the mic has some issue.
Even still you're saying.
It is
Little bit
now
there.
it is better. It is better now,
Okay.
but it is not up to the mark also.
Okay. So they got 1 second. You can. So time to come. That's it.
Anybody else want to add? Yes, Abu.
Misbah, I didn't. I have a question actually. Okay, we just wanted to basically understand familiarize the name, their basic traits, what are their experiences, and what they can contribute to the company, right? Should we waste all this time on this actually? I think we are like in a little bit dragging. It's quite
Yeah.
straight. I think all of us can easily skim through it and understand this is what I understand. Maybe if you can give a summarized, annotated version, I seriously think we should not waste much time here. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So Abu said the point of view is, we can take it directly what they have given. I can just give you another. The main point of this discussion is everybody will have their perspective, and we have to see how we can improvise. It's not just simple looking at like.
Along with the annotated version, can we refer that? Like, it will help everybody, right? Okay. All of us have our perspective. I'm certain of that. But along with that, if you can at least show the annotated version, we can just skim through that as well. I think we can save time there.
Yes, annotated. I'll give you. What I'm trying to say is, we'll have an idea what type of question can come and how we can answer. That is a little bit difficult for me to, just give in the annotated one. For example, we need to see like what is the ideal board. Now we want to be a global leader, right? So, do you think like is this chair skills enough, or do we need somebody else to chair that? Okay, she has a relationship with the university. But is that enough? What is an ideal position we are looking at? And when we are discussing, it's not only about this. We have to keep on looking at the industry. We have to look at the overall, background of the company. So this will spark new and new questions, and it will lead to research. That's the whole aim of discussion.
What I feel, the brainstorming is a good uh, opportunity to share the knowledge of everyone's in a common forum. So spending a good amount of time for discussions and sharing the thoughts, it would be fine, and it will help us in the examination point of view. When we are in that situation, we will remember what we discussed in the class. Not going in a written note, we cannot conclude everything in a written note, but we can discuss, and the brainstorming will be good enough to cover the points, more points to cover. So I think it is better to discuss and go through the notes at a later stage. And here in this case, in Fatima Ayub, she has worked in different areas. She worked as a engineer, and she worked in the research and development area, and she worked as a head of education, and still she is working as a visiting this a lecturer. So she has a wide knowledge and experience in many sectors, especially in the education and in the production. So these areas will help her when she come to a situation where she need to bring some resources for the future ventures. She can easily know the sources from where she can obtain those resources.
Right. So technically, to be honest, what I am trying to do with the questions we are discussing, this is very closer to the questions what they'll ask you in the exam. Sometimes it's exactly, because most of the time the is like 80 to 90% what we are discussing in the class. And I want you guys to talk on it, because I'll understand what you will write if that question comes up. Well, if that makes sense now, like Joseph said, I'll say, yeah, it's good. You can just elaborate on that. If it doesn't make sense, I'll tell you, here itself, we can make changes. So you can also look at it as an exam question, what they will be asking on. And obviously, we'll go that with the annotated one, that also I'll give you. And if we lack something, we'll stretch. We can do more sessions and we'll complete it. We'll try to complete everything that is required for SCs. Moving on to Dr. Robot, CEO. Yeah, another thing we need to be considering is the year she joined the board. Okay, so there is one more condition, that a person cannot be a board of director for more than 9 years. In a very rare situation, when we cannot replace a person, let's say we are not able to get a new leader, a new chairperson, then after 9 years, we can still retain that person for another 1 year, then another 1 year. But usually after 6-7 years itself, company will start looking for somebody to replace. So what's the logic behind that? The logic is we should get someone with a fresher perspective, someone who knows the industry. Because usually people joining as non-executive directors, they're already successful. They have been like this CEO already, or even other people. So there may be issue with the health, issue with the experience, or what expertise they are bringing in. Let's say the expertise she brought in 2022 will not be the same what we need in 2031 or 2030, isn't it? Because the market is dynamic and it is constantly evolving. So we need to bring in somebody. However, that's not the case with executive officer. Executive officer, maybe they have worked with us for last 20 years, last 30 years. It's still fine. They're our own employees. But when you want to get non-executive directors, those who are not giving full time, they might be CEO in other companies still. or they may be working part-time with the university or any other organization. There we need somebody to bring in the expertise about the industry, or if not exactly with the industry, with a specific skill. So remember that point also.
Okay. Also, I'm audible now, Misbah?
Yes, yeah, sure.
Okay, Misbah, also there is one more point they mentioned as a thread, employee in a company for more than 5 years. What does that say actually?
Yeah. So when we set somebody as a non-executive director, we need to see that person should be independent. So what are the things that can impair the independence is somebody was an employee now and tomorrow they want to become a non-executive director. So like this, it won't work. We need to have some, what we can call it like certain period of break, so that they are not aware of what is happening directly in the company.
Okay.
Cooling off period also we can say. The reason we are doing it, because let's say somebody was an operational director today, they resign tomorrow and day after they are becoming as a non-executive directors. They are part of a remuneration committee. They are part of the risk or audit committee. So what will happen? They know everybody in the board. They know how the business works. Now they can influence that decision. They might even know what projects we are doing. So they might help their friends and family who is working here, isn't it? We already have a very big familiarity threat, isn't it?
Correct.
Or they might try to help somebody who is our supplier,
Mm.
whom they know. Operational director, we don't give them authority to be part of the committees. Technically, corporate governance is all about risk management. In which topic we are studying is risk management. We are trying to reduce the overall risk. Which risk we are trying to solve here? It is the risk of people trying to take decision for their personal use, like agency problem. What is agency problem? We as a senior finance manager is an agent, and who is the owner? Who is the principal? The shareholders. So the agency problem is the agents working for themselves, not for the principal. Let's say the operation director and CEO, they are just taking decisions or trying to take decisions which can help them improve their remuneration, not the company's long-term sustainability. For example, we are looking for short-term profits because remuneration is linked to that. But short-term profits can be maximized by reducing the capital expenses. But going forward, can we be a sustainable business? Can we have still money for research and development?
No.
It can be a problem, isn't it? So therefore, we need somebody who's independent. There are certain categories, like you said, we'll go through that in detail in P3, like 5 years. Then there are other conditions also. The person who is joining as non-director should not be our supplier, should not be a linked to the business directly, indirectly, or their family member should not be part of our supplier or a client. They should not be a majority shareholder. So there are a couple of conditions, but the logic remains the same. The person should be independent, unbiased, because if they have their personal interest or their family's personal interest, there's a high probability the biasness can be there. In fact, if you see this happens in the real world, this is how corruption and the indirect influence happens. Let's say there is somebody who is a very top position in government and anybody, and they want to be influencing certain decisions. Or let's say a business need that person's support. So instead of giving them direct seat because they already are holding, somebody in their family will be given a key position in an organization. So what will happen? In an unethical way, they'll get government support. So these things we need to reduce and we need to avoid with the proper corporate governance.
Got it.
Next is Minchi. So as we can see, we are getting names from people from different background. We need diversity at the board. What do you mean by diversity?
Misbah, sorry, did we cover Robert's watch? We just started, I think.
Yeah, okay. So what I was trying to say is we need diversity. Previously, diversity was like, just about having people from different background, or you can say men, women. But now diversity is even beyond that. We might think of having people who are specially abled, or people coming from specific communities, or specific areas. So that also please add in your SWOT analysis. So looking at the CEO, Robert has a doctorate in mechanical engineering. He was one of the first appointments when Leothayre was founded in 2004. Okay. So usually people look at the key position. There is very important topic. This can be tested in number of ways. There can be a full-fledged question coming from here, that shall we hire people? Okay. He has remained with the company since then, to board as operations director and further promoted to CEO. So usually in a business where operations are high, that person might become operation director first and ultimately a CEO. Or if you see tech business, the person get promoted as ID director first, then become a CEO.
Misbah, was that 5 year threshold time limit? It's not applied here. That is only for non-executive chair.
That is only for non-executive directors.
Okay.
As we discussed already, the logic behind is they are part of the committees. The responsibility for, if you want to make it simple, the responsibility for executive directors goes to entire stakeholders. It is not limited to shareholders. But for the non-executive directors, the primary responsibility is with shareholders, because shareholders cannot be there everywhere, and they don't trust executive directors because there has been number of cases, so many cases where executive directors is like they are becoming group like a gang, and everybody is helping you, help me sign my bonus, I'll sign your bonus. In fact, it was a hot topic if we research on financial crisis 2008. This was also one of the reasons. And shareholders don't understand, and they are not everywhere. So we need somebody who is independent, somebody who is trustworthy. Therefore, we have made committees, and we are giving the complete domination of the committees to the executive chair. Not chair, but all non-executives. Reason being, they are independent. So if we are able to understand the logic, automatically you can write about it. Okay. So Dr. Robert have been with us since 2004. Robert was promoted to Board of Operations Director in 2019 and was further promoted to CEO in 2020. He recently joined. However, it doesn't matter if the CEO is working for a company for even 30 years, or as long he or she need to work. That is not a criteria here. However, one good thing or a bad thing, we can talk from both the perspective, is to hire from outside or promote within. Certain companies have policies. Like previously, we did a logistic business in UPS. We have a policy. They have a policy. They want to promote within, which is liked by a lot of employees. Because in many cases, in the real cases also, you might have been seeing, when somebody gets promoted to a manager or a senior manager, beyond that, it becomes very difficult to go. Or many times we see the trend, like in previous SCS case study, there was most of the CEOs and even the other board of directors, only one person was there with us from the start, or let's say 5-10 years. Everyone just joined 6 months, 1 year, and they become a board member. So it gives a different signal to the employees. Forget about outside stakeholders. We're just talking about internal stakeholders. Employees who are working with us, who are very sincere and they want to see their long-term future, they will be looking it as a risk if every time somebody is joining from outside. Right? However, if you just change the situation, let's say we are promoting people only within. So what is the biggest risk here? Biggest problem which can come is we can lose the talent. We can lose the bulk of talent which is available in the market. Why are we just depend on our own employees? Isn't it? We might have somebody better waiting for the opportunity. And that too, we are looking for a leader who will be part of the board. We cannot just keep somebody into the position because they worked with us for so long. Again, that is important. However, can that be a only reason? So what should be done? This can be a question, shall we have it within or shall we get it outside, and how to manage that. Any specific points? What do you guys think?
When we bring new people from outside, we can expect expertise in their area, working knowledge, and industry awareness also, which sometimes lack in-house in those incumbents in the industry in the company. So adding more knowledgeable or experienced people in the top layer will provide positive attitudes also. They can change the working atmosphere, or they can bring new knowledge into the company.
Also, add on to his point, I would say, if you're taking it from outside, the first perspective will be there. So he may bring new ideas, strategic or industry insights. So often, it helps to break out some internal challenges. We have it in our campus, and it also ensure the diverse experience. Because if he comes from a different industry or something company or something like that, so to some extent he can share his best practice approach to the current organization. So, and new networks sometimes also helpful, right? This is from outside benefit, I would say.
Right. Another aspect we can say is, when we grow, we need to diversify. We don't limit to this particular industry.
Right.
So for that, obviously, if we have some expertise or we have some board member who have worked there, so it will give us more confidence.
Correct.
So this is also a question. Sometime a direct question will come. What are the other options for us to grow our revenue, grow our business? So you can say that we have board coming from this is go into that business.
But also, Misbah, so taking it from outside alone, it's not a good decision. Even sometimes in few scenarios, inside employees also helpful, because they have a deep institutional or maybe the company knowledge, how it works from the beginning to top, end to end. They may have a knowledge, and they be loyal to the organization. Since been in an organization for a longer time, they'll be loyal if you promote them. And
Right.
cost also very low, right?
The
Cost
culture.
also
They'll
hiring
understand.
cost also very low. Yeah.
Cost also, yeah. Because if somebody comes, there's a very important point. If somebody comes from outside, companies are ready to pay 30%, 40%, whatever hike it is.
Correct.
The same thing for internal employees, they are not doing it.
Right.
And that's the reason a lot of employees are just switching so that get an hike.
Correct.
So how you have to frame this answer is, we can mention like, firstly, this question can come as a discussion question, or we can say like some questions in your exam will be a discussion question. It will not be direct. Some questions can be direct. Let's say, what are the risks and what are the mitigation of doing that, or what is the business valuation method we have, or it can be specific to managing stakeholders, right? However, other type of question can be discussion. In discussion, they are not asking you directly what to do, and you have to talk from both the perspective. Like here, maybe this question comes, so you can make half of your answer like, okay, these are the advantages of promoting people within, and another thing you can say, these are the advantage and disadvantage of hiring people from outside. And finally, you conclude. You do a recommendation. What do you believe and justify? Justifies or justification is very important. Many times, the quality of the answer will depend on the justification. It's very easy to make the points, but once we know the scenario, they'll give you a specific scenario. What is happening? We always have that attached material to the question that will give us an idea. So try to just tailor it according to that and justify. Like you said, the point cost, then loyalty, then motivating people. These things we need to bring out. Simple as that. No need to be very, very technical. If you do this, 100% you'll get good marks. However, now the thing can be, okay, this person is working for so long, maybe part of the organization in the start, but does he deserve to be a CEO? Does he have that skill? Because CEO is a very, very important position, or we can say it is the face of the organization.
I would say that I think since from the beginning he's there, he's very knowledgeable. That's why being in the organization, and moreover, he's been part of operational director. So the person, ideally, the person who's being part of operational director or involved in operation can become a CEO. There is a high chance, and that's also sometimes works well. So which means he has a high, I think, a very good functional knowledge in this. He possesses.
Right. And maybe he has a very good track record, which we cannot say see in these few lines, just two
Yeah.
lines.
That's
That
what he was
may
very
be
loyal. Yeah, good track records.
usually when a company is founded, it's like introduction stage, growth stage, maturity. We can talk about. So in a startup, most of them will struggle to go beyond 5 years. Especially this industry is quite new, isn't it? It's not very
Exactly.
commonly talked
Yeah.
about. So it was a very risky venture. So coming
Right.
into this and getting clients and growing their organization, it should have been very difficult than other traditional business.
So I also wanted to mention that he is being very competitive, even even in the current market rate since 2004.
In my experience, I worked with a shipping company. Still, I am working in the logistic and the shipping sector. 13 and a half years, more than around 14 years, I worked in one shipping line company in Sharjah. This is a port operator. If the company is not changing according to the industry changes, whoever is coming, they have to meet or they have to attend to more challenges in their company. Because in my company, the shipping lines were interested to make a partnership with the port operator and they want to invest. But my company is controlled by the local government and they were not ready to change their attitude and they want to control the company in 100%. But Abu Dhabi government understood the changes and they made a contract with the shipping lines. And now Abu Dhabi ports is developed far better than any other port in UAE. What happened with the company, since they were adamant to their control perspective, shipping lines from the company, the many shipping lines left to Abu Dhabi or Dubai, and the company lost their market share and nearby from 100% to 10%, and they sacked all employees, 1,000 from 1,300 employees to 70 employees, and they are struggling to improve the port revenue. But another port, because of another port, also they are managing. They are still in the market and they are making good money from that port. But if the company is not changing according to the industry changes, whoever is coming into the CEO position, they have to meet many challenges, and how capable they are, they cannot make any changes in the company. That is my real life experience in this position, this CEO position.
Right. Good point. So there are two important things which I can link is first is government. Whenever so stakeholder management is very important. So what is our plan? As we discussed previously, also we'll make a list of 20 stakeholders and how we manage. But especially in industry like this, when government has a very important role to play, I feel like one of the question for you in the exam will be dealing with the government. That government thing we can talk about what is their expectation and how we can contribute or how we can partner with them. Secondly, CEO, the leader, one of the key skills for any leader is change adapter. That person should be ready for the change. Recently, I was looking for an interview of the CEO of 7-Eleven. He retired now. The new person is there. 7-Eleven is like one of the biggest retail around the world. So that person was saying only skill I have why I was a successful leader. The top skill was I was ready to change all this. Because every organization is going through a small or a major change continuously. Imagine if the leader itself is not ready to be a change maker or contributing to the change, what will happen to the entire organization? What culture and tone they are setting, isn't it? So that's also an important thing to look at. Then moving on to the next, Minchi Pising. You can just write it as Min in the exam if you are, it's difficult to remember the spellings. Operational director. Min has a master's or master of engineering degree in aeronautical engineering. That's what we are doing specifically. She spent several years working as project manager for a quoted aerospace company. Again, being a listed company, things become more organized, more formal. that experience might also be different. Let's say working in a quoted company, and to understand it better, we can compare it to a startup. There will be a lot of difference, isn't it? Startup will be just struggling to survive, whereas in quoted company, they might spend a lot of money just for CSR and other things to maintain the reputation of the business. So the priorities, the risk, the perceived value, everything will be changed. During that time, she supported the development of an updated version of the company's airliner. She joined Leothayre to support the development of system and mission management software. Mean is now responsible for all aspects of scheduling and liaising with third parties in order to ensure production facilities are available and arrangements for launches are in place. So again, one of the key reason for our business to be successful, or we can say a CSF, critical success factor, is how we are managing the supply chain, how we are helping them for their launches. They might not have all the resources, and we don't know exactly how many stakeholders or how many players we need in this. So planning that, liaising, like, dealing with them, contracting with them, everything is very important. And I believe every project can be different, can be crucial, right? So that is very important in that sense. And that's the reason the operation director became a CEO, or maybe she can be the next CEO. That also we need to consider. She joined in 2021. They have not mentioned when she joined our organization. Just says she joined Leothayre to support the development of system. Which year she joined and all, they have not mentioned. Maybe one thing we can guess is she is not starting from 2004. Why? Because she was working in a different aerospace company. Maybe in the last few years she might have joined. Because 2021 she's part of the board as a director. Then previously, maybe last few years, she was there as a project manager. Okay, moving on. Dr. Alex, technology director, ID director, cybersecurity director. This has become a very important role in the board. Otherwise, when we do SWOT, we can say this is like a direct weakness. Now, if you have it, it becomes an advantage. Alex has a doctorate in aeronautical engineering. He worked for Wexland Spaceport for 6 years after graduation. So having people from that core business, like the operations director, now Dr. Alex, it brings in a lot of advantage for us, especially
Relevant experience.
relevant experience. Especially if we tomorrow, there is one again a common question that can be asked when they talk about growth of business. We can do an integration. We can do a forward integration or a horizontal integration, vertical integration. Like now we are just helping other companies to launch the satellite. Why can't we launch our own satellites? Or we're helping and designing them to make satellites. Why can't we make our own satellites? So this can be a natural progression for us. If we think like, the risk, the return, and so many other factors is worth it. So what will be the biggest challenge for us is the skills. Do we have that skill? Now looking at this, like somebody already being into that and is already a board of director will give us confidence, or will give us some points to start. During that time, he focused on the assembly and launch of rockets. Very important skill. He joined Leothayre as a mechanical engineer, focusing on the integration of satellites with their launch vehicles. Alex is now responsible for the oversight of all aspects of the design and manufacture of satellites. So if tomorrow we want to go into launching rockets, we can say we already have that skill, we already have that experience at the board level. Now, where else we can use that? Let's say we have done a strategic partnership with some of our competitors. So in that, we need to understand, we need to negotiate. So even this person can be a lead because he has better understanding of that. Alex was appointed to Leothayre's board as technology director in 2022. Now they have not mentioned like was he part of the team previously. However, one thing,
Actually, there is no connectivity now. So he's being a mechanical engineer and aerospace engineer, but how he could lead be a technology director? Minching could be possibility, can be a
Technology
technology.
means they are not referring to IT.
That could be anything, even designing as well, I would say, but
Yeah.
he's most into the mechanical side, right?
Yes, but if you see, Alex has a doctorate in aeronautical engineering.
Correct.
So he has that core skills. He studied that, isn't it? As being a doctor in that. So he might have that understanding. Plus,
I have one question, Misbah. See, I'm not challenging his mechanical or aeronautical, but my worry is like he worked in the previous company for 6 years after the graduation. Then he joined the Leothayre, our company, as a director. So, which means in 2022 he joined means it is now 24 or 25. So, it hardly any 8 years he became a director. So, I don't know like how we need to uh, link on
No, he joined
the
as mechanical engineer only, right? Sorry to interrupt. In Leothar, he joined as mechanical engineer only.
yes, yes. There's a
oh
bit.
yeah,
Not
correct.
just like that
Okay,
experience to this
yeah,
experience.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry. Thanks, sure.
no problem, no problem.
We don't know how many years, but he has that experience. However, we
Okay,
cannot
thanks.
just, on the contrary, we cannot just say somebody is being a board of director at young age. Now we have companies who are doing quite good. You know, they have their CFO who are in late 20s or early 30s. And the ecosystem, the entire business environment is accepting that. It's all about what value they are putting onto the table. However, it's rare because with experience, we'll get a different kind of wisdom. But companies are accepting, and there are some extraordinary people that can be promoted. The best advantage of that is they'll have more energy, more risk taking capacity, which can motivate the board or contribute to the board in a greater way. Let's say, compared to somebody who is into late 50s or 60s, right?
Maybe Misbah, what could be the thread or negative point by reading his content, Alex?
So
So he
if
has
you
a good education, relevant experience, versatile experience being as a I think focus on assembling and launching the rocket. Now here is responsible for mechanical engineer, design and manufacturing is taking care. All are positive only.
right, so usually they'll just write positive here. We need to see what weakness it can bring in. So there are different ways. One is like we can compare to the other technical director in the let's say SpaceX. We can compare what is their technical director's background and what is Alex's background.
Hmm.
Benchmark. Another thing which is unclear here is they have not talked about detail what this technology director is doing. Right? They have just given a very generalized breakup.
Correct,
Now we
correct.
have to see what are the skills usually required. Maybe we have to do some research and see what does technology director do in this kind of business, in this kind of industry, what expertise they are required for. I believe maybe he might be having certain patents also. And are we using that patents? How it can help us, or how these skills can be used if, as we discussed, going into the different sector. If we just do an integration, if we try to launch our own rockets, like we discussed. Then moving on to CFO. So this is the direct person we are working with, Gamzi. Gamzi has a degree in banking. One of the most important stakeholder is bank, isn't it? Because we'll have a common question coming with debt and equity and how much to have. And as we know, bank doesn't give the same interest to everyone with the relationship, the collaterals, and there are a number of factors that will decide what interest we are paying or what covenants we are signing on. So having somebody from the banking is a plus point. She spent much of her career to date working for a major international bank, specializing in negotiation loans for high technology startup. Why they've mentioned specifically high tech startup? Because it's more riskier. It's not a traditional business. So banks are dealing with that. If somebody is accepting a higher risk, obviously they are looking for a high return, isn't it? The negotiation comes in place here. She joined Leothayre as a senior finance manager to support the management of the company's cash flow and funding of expansion. She joined Leothayre's board as CFO in 2020. She joined as a position like we are now, senior finance manager. Then she just jumped to board. However, they have not mentioned if the person is a qualified accountant. In certain companies, they want a person to qualified means like a chartered holder, like you guys will be chartered holders soon. So like this person, does she need to be a chartered holder? Or she is already there, they have not mentioned. Companies have a policy, especially at a senior level, because it's not only about the skills, it will create a trust. They have a more ethical approach. Then if you are a member of any body, whether it's CIMA or any other, like CPA, we have to do that CPD, continuous professional development. So that can be another advantage. What else? Okay, a quick thing we can discuss here. What else do we look at the CF? Okay, banking is definitely a plus point, especially when dealing with negotiation and getting the funds. But what else do we look at the finance person?
But how good she is in financial strategy, those stuff and all, they haven't mentioned anything.
Yeah,
Like they didn't say anything about. They say focus on only cash flow management and funding expansions. That even anybody can do it, right?
Yeah, that's what I was.
I feel not so great if I look at the way it is being managed, especially on the Leothayre's financials, because if we look at the share price, it is going down, especially from 2020 onwards. That's exactly where it is linking. She joined as a CFO from the 2020. It is a continuous share price fall. And if you look at the last year financials, also like we had around 3.5 billion as a loan, but now in the current year it is increased by 1 billion, which is total around like 4.5 billion. The gearing is increased. Share price is still not great. Probably there must be some issues the way the CFO is managing all the financials. It could be from the reporting or the hedging, forecasting. I don't have any positive feel about the CFOs. Okay,
Correct.
I don't know like what exactly or what type of questions that I might get it in the SS exam, Misbah, but I would be really interested to see the any past question paper and the answer related to the corporate governance, especially challenging the rules of the board members or the director or the NEDs. So if I get something that probably I am very much interested and curious to see, because if I look at the share price, if you see here, yeah, good that you brought it on the screen. From 2020 it is completely down. Nowhere I see that good improvement. Yeah, here and there was a little bit of fluctuation, especially maybe end of the year close, especially when the dividend probably might be announced. So that time might be the share price is high. Afterwards, again, it is going down. So it's not giving any good green signal here.
And especially when she
Actually,
joins at the same time.
yeah, from
I
the
did
same
not.
2020 they started.
I did not
Also,
get time to. Okay, Shiva,
Sorry.
please go on.
yeah, sorry. Okay. Also, Misbah, I just wanted to say that being a chief financial officer, so you should possess minimum strategical thinking, risk management, and technology upgradation, regulatory knowledge, which is must if you want to become CFO of any organization. These are things are really must. But if you look at her experience in the past, she was negotiating the loans for high technology startups. She was specialized, and now she's been doing only taking care of cash flow and funding expenses. So they haven't mentioned anything about how the strategical thinking, the leadership quality, how she's risk management is happening, financial statement, carrying of financial statement. Nothing, they have mentioned anything about it. And moreover, the point what Sambat was brought in is it's something like a very good point. So from that time only, I think I would say purposely they have given from 2020 only. Actually, she joined in 2020.
Yeah.
So till now, it is not a great progress in the share price. So it means something, the fund was somewhat inappropriate way it has been utilized. The maybe debt equity ratio, gearing up ratio. There are certain basic things we need to ensure that those things and all we have to check about this organization. When we do, I think in next pages we have. I think more we can get to know how efficiency is.
Yeah. So once we do the financials, we'll get a better idea. But if you just look here, definitely the share price is going down.
In my opinion, since it is a listed company, the company should follow certain accounting principles and should abide by conform to the legal requirements. We are not getting a clear picture about her educational qualification with related to IFRS standards, her knowledge about the IFRS standards, and meeting the stock exchange regulations requirements. Those things are lacking. And as Sampath brought down this share price, it is going down, that we need to study in a different perspective. When we compare this, I didn't complete the full comparison of this 2 years of profit and loss account, but once we see 5.9% increase is there in the operating revenue, and operating cost is increased only by 2.5%. So the revenue increase in the last year is fine for the company. Like that, but we need to go into deep in those areas. But regarding me, the legal and stock exchange regulations, how is my concern with her academic point of view.
Yeah, so technically they have not shared the details. Maybe that is one thing. They have just given few, but we can just take it one step ahead quickly. Let's say of replacing somebody in the board. So let's say CFO is one of the reasons, because when it comes to financial, it's very important. We can see this here, and similar thing is there in numbers also, right? It's not very possible. We'll do a detailed analysis. We're just looking at it basically. So what is the ideal skill? What we'll be looking at? Even if you see the revenue as there is a small increase in the revenue, and profit has also gone up, but that is nothing very attractive that is happening. What is the ideal skill you look at a CFO? What you'll mention? What do you think? Hello?
Sorry. Generally, I would think that she should have a strategic thinking, and moreover, she has a vast knowledge about the business where she is now. So she should know end to end of how the company operates, how the competitor, how the industry financial is happening. So she should have an end to end of knowledge, and moreover, she should be well versed with the regulatory aspect as well. Because since the satellite business has been connected with the government, she should know end to end. Sorry, so those side, regulatory side also she should have enough of knowledge, and also industry specific knowledge she should possess. Then only if any expansions we are planning for, we should have a knowledge of how our industry is doing, how our peer groups are working on it. Those skills and all she must have a knowledge. But I don't know, they haven't mentioned anything, but we have to take it as there is a gap.
What do you need? Let's talk about the 5 top skill we need as a CFO. Simple as that. We need that person we don't have an IT director now. Somebody is coming from information technology. So we can say finance person should be good in IT. That is the one skill we are looking at.
Yeah, correct.
Second skill we can say should be a qualified member of a professional body.
Yes. Decision making skill, leadership.
Leadership skill, assuming that she might have or she might not have.
Okay.
Still...
No, for CFO I'm saying, but generally.
Financial acumen, risk management, corporate governance and compliance. Then we can say communication, investor relation, communication with external parties. Obviously, like you said, data like IT literacy, digital AI management, people management, organizational culture, etc., etc.
Right. Yeah, good point, Abu. Financial acumen is very, very important, because many times we have to take a quick decision, and just because of certain decisions, the share price can go up or go down.
Even though she was working as a mediator for this arranging the funds for other companies or our customers, the interest which this Leothayre is paying on debt is 10%. That is quite more than the record level. This 10% interest is very high interest in perspective of a company. So her bargaining power also need to
It could depend
be.
on multiple factors, Joseph, like, the risk involved in, the projects. See, these kind of informations are very gray and it's not mentioned. So I think as long as it is not mentioned, we should not, this is what I feel, we should not
Yeah,
question.
I agree with that. But my concern is, even we see the actual scenario, the maximum interest rate of gone to in the market is in the international market is nearby 7%.
How do we know about this country's international market? Have you compared it with the competitors?
Regularly, we need to check this LIBOR or SOFR rates, how in the market.
So this is a hypothetical country with hypothetical financial situation.
Yeah,
So
but we need to match with the actual scenario, no? So the last even
No.
the last 5
Joseph,
years.
I think this is not the actual one. Okay, so may not be the true or the reality picture about the Preseen. Okay, it is not practical, but yeah, it is a simulation. Okay, so there what Abu is telling that this is an high risk business, especially with the satellite. If something gone wrong, then if some failed mission means it is millions, billions of amount is gone. So it is a high risk business. So that's why the bank might have been given with a high rate of interest. That's what the assumption that we should think at the moment, because it's not clear at the Preseen.
I don't even know,
So
like,
you are trying, yeah.
guys, the thing is, actually, I have not fully gone through the financials or the full report itself. I'm not even sure if the finance is secured only through a bank. It could be any financial institution. It could be private loans. It depends on, sometimes, banks would, have its own reservation to give a huge amount of lending when it comes to very risky propositions like we have on board.
I agree with both of your arguments. It is valid points. On the same time, we need to see whether the international market and how much is the difference the company is paying. This interest rate which is paying is in the upper side only. 10% interest is very high with related to the actual scenario.
Yeah, could be one of the point, maybe.
Yes, that's a good point. So we are into a fictional country, obviously. However, still we can compare. We can say this is higher than the other industries. What is happening, and maybe because of certain case. This is what we have to do in discussion question. I would say we have to talk from both the perspective. And if somebody is being hired or being a leader just because of the negotiation skill, so we need to see that. We need to see that is happening. Just because of the limited information, it might be not very clear now. One thing we can look at is we can see what is happening. There will be gaps in the exam question. Also, there are a lot of gaps here. There will be a lot of gaps in the exam question. So we don't need to think too much. Otherwise, we'll be confused to write an answer. What I would suggest you is, if some situation comes like this, so you can be a little bit diplomatic in your answer. Just go through it. If you try to very precise, it can be difficult for us to come up with the answer. And while researching, we can look at what's happening in the industry, or we can look at what is happening in this particular industry in UK. So that will give us more reference point. Yeah. So anything else with the CFO? Any other skills which is left behind? Anybody want to add? I think we have covered most of that. Okay.
The Misbah, I want to add one more point. The CFO have the same industrial experience. I think it could be more value, but he's coming from the bank background. It's also good for the financing and sort of things. But the guy who's coming from the same industry experience, it will make more value. He know the accounts and he know the industry experience as well.
Right. Makes sense. That's what happened when somebody is hiring any industry. When we also think our position, if you want to go to a opposition, at least a senior manager, they're not looking somebody for, let's say, 15 years experience or 20 years. Out of that 15, 20, they need at least 5 in a similar industry. Why? Because how things work in different industry are different. Maybe it is the same qualification, but the experience will make the difference, or the industry we are working will make the difference. So that's a good point again. And we are a listed business, so we don't have debt as a only source of finance. We still have equity. If you are unlisted, then maybe somebody is helping with the debt. So that may be the reason. Again, that cannot be the primary reason. I'm just assuming.
This I earlier in our one of our class I mentioned that in my previous company they had one loan from one international authority, and some of the contractual inadequacy they were compelled to pay high level of interest, and the new finance manager joined with our company, arranged a fresh loan from the company from the bank, and at the same time he hedged that loan to the he done the hedging other arrangements also. So he could save a lot of interest from that because of that 2008 this problems in the financial industry. So that kind of awareness definitely this lady will lack because she is coming from a different area, not from the fully fledged financial area.
Right. Yeah, so we have discussed the weakness and we have also discussed like what are the key skills we are looking at. Okay. Usually the questions when they're asking, they are not looking for the problems, they also look for the solution. Let's say we are talking about weakness. Now we have talked about how we can solve the weakness. So we have discussed the skills. Okay. Now moving on to the next, Mark Jones. Mark has considerable experience of aerospace sales. He had a junior administrative role in the sales department of a major aircraft manager. So Mark is somebody who is coming from the industry. It's not aerospace, but aircraft, I would say close. Demonstrated considerable talent and was promoted through various levels until he was appointed as senior sales manager. His responsibility include heading the sales team responsible for sale of cargo aircraft to logistics companies. Mark joined Leothayre as marketing director in 2021. Recently, he joined. Okay, so aerospace and now when we're talking about this commercial aircraft is totally different, and especially with the cargo. So why we have got somebody from that? Maybe because of that sales skills, and secondly, this can be the reason. To be honest, when I was reading the Preseen, I was thinking what extra source of revenue we can do, and especially when we are into such a risky business, and we need people to invest. As a listed business, or if you guys are also an investor, you can see what is the investor looking at it. Now we can see globally the shares are falling down, and there is a lot of things happening with the tariff, isn't it? So what has happened in the recent past? The gold price have gone up. Why? Because gold is a little bit more stable. People are taking into the gold, isn't it? Because they need good returns. Because everything at risk, nobody wants to put. Even if somebody or as a group, they want to take a risk, they want to distribute the risk, isn't it? So same thing. Why can't we at Leothayre, instead of just doing into aerospace, why can't we just instead of going only into that satellite thing, why can't we go into the other sector, especially with the aircraft? Why can't we venture in helping them with their design? Launching is not that difficult, but whatever value we can create into that industry. So I believe at least some part of our revenue will be kind of stable, and we'll have some flexibility to move around. And obviously, it will give confidence to the shareholders because they might get better returns or good returns, we can say.
Misbah, I have one contrast statement here. Like as you said, see, if you want to do the vertical integration or whatever it is, but we should have recruit a person as a director who has a minimal experience in the current business what we have. I understand he's coming from aircraft, so there is a vertical integration opportunity for us to move on. But for that, we cannot take it forward and we can recruit a person who has a relevant experience here, right? But he should also possess a current business experience, because aircraft sales is different. Cargo aircraft is different. Sorry, cargo aircraft is different. Satellite is different. So the marketing strategy is completely different, right? For both of that.
Yes, it is completely different, but maybe that's the closest we have gotten, as this industry itself is quite new. Let's say it is especially in the private sector. If you go in the past, globally it was more of a government who's investing into satellite, but now in, let's say, last 20 years we have seen like private players coming in, isn't it?
Correct.
another reason. However, there are certain common points like both are B2B businesses and very sensitive, very costly to buy, sell, maintain, isn't it?
Right.
Maybe that's the reason.
Okay.
Ideally, we should have got someone from the industry, but again, it may be rare. What I was thinking is we can go into this new sector. We don't limit ourselves because we have shareholders, and this can be a best response, if not best, one of the best response to what is happening with our share price, isn't it? It has gone down seriously. If I just go to it quickly again, we'll discuss it in detail with the financials tomorrow. But for now, if you see in the last 5 years, the highest was around 22, if I can say 21, 22 here. And now what we are at as 4. $22 here. Almost 5.5 times it has come down. A very, very bad situation. And imagine what would have happened now. Again, there is a lot of things happening. Globally, the share price is going down. So imagine now we are sitting into, when you'll be writing exam, it will be May, right? 5th. So we can say 31/5/2025. It might have even gone down. Maybe it will come to the lowest, like $3. That's a very, very big loss as a shareholder.
It could be one of the reason for the beta also shows 1.15.
So Joseph, with beta, maybe, but usually when we talk about beta is risk factor, it is looking at various issues which is not directly related to the share price. It may be an
Industry risk.
yeah, but one thing is for sure, when we say it is more than 1, let's say 1.15, then we are talking 15% more risk than the industry average. 15%, Leothayre is 15% more risky than the industry. Overall itself, the industry is risky. Then Leothayre is again 15% more risky. So when the shareholders are taking 15% extra risk, they also need 15% extra returns.
Got it. Good. Thank you.
So we need to see the trend, what is happening in this industry. Is it globally the share price is going down, or it is only in specific companies? And what is the major reason? I'll also have a look. If you get something, I'll share on the group. You guys also keep on because the same topics can be asked. Okay. Now going back to the board, I know it is taking a little bit while, but trust me, every point of this will be important. We are not discussing only the corporate governance. We are trying to link it to every possible way. And trust me, what we are discussing, if you write this in exam, you'll get good marks. And questions will be very similar to what we are discussing. Okay. Yeah. Now moving on to the next. So we are done with the executive directors. How many we have? Mark, MZ2, LX3, Min4, and CEO 5.
Right.
From corporate governance, we know that it should be 50-50. 50% non-executive directors should be there apart from the chair, because we don't want the executive to dominate the board. But here it looks like we have only 3 non-executives. So we are short of 2. Okay, we'll come to that point. Before that, let's look at the Professor Alice. Alice had a career in academia, teaching and researching economics at Capital University. Her research interests include environmental studies and the tracking of urban expansion. Her academic publications should include studies that have made use of data provided by Leothayre's clients. Alice joined Leothayre's board as senior independent director in 2020. So technically, her skill is, what we are, or maybe we can say what value we are creating at the board level. Apart from that, what skill she is bringing in? We already have somebody with a good relationship at the board. good relationship with the university.
I think she's getting some skill set from the environmental perspective, because when we see that rockets launch, or the way the satellites are being managed, how if environmentally friendly it is, what is the pros and cons, and how do the satellites needs to be managed to pushing to the longer altitude, sorry, so, and also like when the launch happens, what is that environmental impact, the carbon footprint, what we call it. So from that angle, probably she's gonna add a value to the company.
Right. If you have seen that link I have shared, I have just shared the screenshot on the group also, that pixel. So 5 industries that are getting benefit with this or direct user as of now is agriculture, energy, environment, government projects, and mine. That this satellite investment is giving good returns, so it's worth it. So if you look at her profile, then she's into environmental studies. Okay. And the tracking of urban expansion, we can say environment and with the government projects. So usually expansion, the government is a key player there. So this can be the 2 important areas. One of the reason which is unclear, I'm just giving a guess, can be we have our clients, let's say we have 10 clients, just giving an example. So out of 10, maybe 6 or 5, majority of them are working on these 2 sectors, environment and urban expansion. So that may be one of the reasons, but again, it's unclear. Apart from that, we cannot see any specific skill. In fact, it looks repetitive. We already have the chairperson coming from a similar skill, isn't it? Why we want a replication of skill? Because if we see visiting lectureship in electrical engineering at Capital University, she's still there. Right? And she joined 2022. So we don't need to think of replacing her because of time, but maybe because of skill we can. Okay, moving on to Kevin. Independent NED. Kevin had a career in politics, including several years as a member of Excellent in Parliament. So we have got a member of Parliament. Okay, this is something we need. We have been talking about it, that government will be a more important stakeholder here or a key stakeholder in this business, or maybe our client itself. He took an active interest in industry and science. He sat on a number of parliamentary committees, including the committee responsible for an investigation into potential environmental impact of Excellent in space sport before permission of contribution construction was granted. This is a very good skill to have, right? If you compare to this as an independent director. Kevin retired from politics in 2020. He joined Leothayre's board as an independent NED at that time. If you look at the time also, is fine. However, there can be one challenge which we can face. What is that? He might be from a particular party. Now, the overall society might think we are being supported by that party or we are supporting that political party. That can create certain biases, isn't it? Weakness.
Misbah, I have one question here. Since
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure about how the director experience, how do the day-to-day operations will be, I'm not sure. See here, we're talking about Kevin. Okay, first I asked about Kevin. So he's here. You're saying that he's from member of Excellent Parliament. He's been actively involved in the industry and science. So they're saying so many things, right? So he was the permission he was getting that for the construction of
Technically, he was in the ministry.
politics. Yeah, he's in politics, right?
Yeah.
But think about being a director. Okay, especially in the Leothayre, how frequently he will go and get the clearance or compliances for satellite? How frequently? What are the challenges in a year or 3 years once or 5 years once? For example, if you're facing any compliance issue, it's a very rare scenario, right? If you get now, maybe after 3-4 years we get something new, it comes. So he will go on top. So what would be his day-to-day operations?
So, firstly, he retired from politics. Okay.
Correct.
So the reason why a lot of companies want to have these senior politicians to be part as an honorary directors, or even we can say bureaucrats, they also become. Reliance is a very good example in India. So a lot of these senior people are invited to join as a non-executive director. They will not know about the business because they are coming from a different background, but they know how the government operates. For example, now he retired in 2020. We are sitting in 2025, but he still understand to a very good extent how the government will approach. Right? What will be the new policies and regulations coming into the Vexla? Right? What is the government approach? What is the opposition party's approach? What is the budget they have set up? Usually, when it comes to the space and all, you see government have a very long plan. It's not 5 years, 10 years. They'll have in 50 years, 40 years. We
Yes.
need to achieve that,
Yes.
isn't it?
I, yeah, I
So
agree. Yeah.
become easier for us. It's like the government itself is guiding us. So we'll have
Correct.
less problems.
Yes, I
In-
understand. So problems
Yeah.
will be limited. Correct. So as you said, if any challenges they bring in, that bring in by government means it may having a tenure of 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, something like that. So how frequent cases we get something like that? Maybe it is a very unrelevant question, but I just wanted to know that.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. The major issues can be, in 1 year, 2 year, what you are saying. But I believe constantly we need a very good relationship with the government,
Okay.
Yeah, and
especially in
more
this
than
business.
risk, I see,
Okay.
Shiva, like just to add on, more than risk, I see a lot of benefit from this, from the
Okay.
political party, because because generally we need a government support. It
Okay.
could be from in terms of the grants, or it could be in terms of support, funding support, or it could be from the
Right.
services or the space services what you give. If you have a good connection or the rapport with the political parties, whoever
Mm.
is ruling party, or it might be the opposition party, it could be. So there will be a lot of potential gain or the benefit that you can get it with that rapport. So
Yeah, could
being
be
in a
like a,
political party,
yeah,
definitely we
yeah, I
have to
can
look
say
at
that
from the upside.
day-to-day operation also will be helpful, right, for the company.
Correct, exactly,
Right. Okay.
exactly. We should take it that into the positive way rather than in the looking at from the only from the risk point of view.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
see, more than us, like our competitors, if you look at the what is that another our direct competitor who is very, they are actually revenue portion is high, their market is high, their existence might be even well before us. Even they will also be lobbying, yeah, to get the government contract from the looking at from the long term sustainability point of view, and the way the limited clients that we have, part of the Leothaire's client base is limited. It is good to have a long term relationship with the government with this type of support with the political parties. They will always have a reference, so the way how we are getting lobbying, some people do lobbying to get the government jobs,
Correct.
so they take the reference, they get put the influence. And they also, like in terms of when the government trying to put any restrictions or the rules and regulations forming, these are the guys who literally help us
Help us, right? Okay.
to get the information even before it get executed.
Correct. Correct.
you
They
know
give us, they
so
share information.
yes, offline
We can off.
inside stories, everything we get it. So
Right.
that
Right.
is one of the benefit piece if we have a political member as part of their NDDs. That's what I feel it.
We cannot
Yeah.
convert this support as a financial, but it is much needed to run the business.
Definitely, because all the companies needs to be aligned with the whatever that ethical or the business or the
Correct. Correct.
government rules and regulation policies, right? So this is the area. So that's why if we look at the NEDs, I feel okay, we have a proper diversification in all the NEDs and also from the board. I mean, the directors level.
Yeah.
Sorry, Misbah, for hijacking.
Sorry.
That's correct. Especially that grants point
I
is
have
very, very
something to
important.
add. I have something to add.
Yes, Joseph, please.
Here in our Preseen itself, it is saying there are approximately 10,000 active satellites in orbit, and it will grow substantially in the coming years. So government intervention also can expect to regulate the industry. So
Exactly. Yes.
at that point of time, the relationship with these political parties and the person who
Important.
have worked in the political sector and parliamentary sector will have provide a added advantage, since they know the sources and the points where they need to know to get favorable decisions from the government for the company. Their experience will give more value.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, Joseph. Right. Also, just one point I want to add, Misbah. So maybe it's not about Kevin. It's about Mark Jones, marketing director. We talk about it. So
Yeah.
being cargo aircraft marketing manager and satellite marketing manager, satellite manufacturing business marketing manager, completely different, right? Because the number of units and quantities completely different, right?
Yes, yes.
But I feel there also it is a strong point, Shiva,
Yeah.
because he is very talented. If you look at, he been promoted because generally when suppose if you are working in one of the company, they will not simply promote you just because you have an
Exactly.
experience.
Yes.
If you have a skill set, even you have a capability,
Hmm.
sometimes it is very difficult to get promoted. Even though you have a skill set, even you not proving in front of them, then you don't get an opportunity.
Correct.
There
Agree.
are some instances where even within 1 year of the candidates who joined, they immediately get promoted because of the skill set,
Mhm.
and there will be some position also. There, sometimes we call it as a luck also, But this guy has proven record. It doesn't matter which field he's working in, whether it is an aero, what is that, aero, whatever the different sector. But the sales, when it comes, he has managed it so well. He led the team,
Right.
and he has a proven record. For sure, that will be a good advantage for the Leothayre.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, what I was saying is, um, from company wise, yeah. So he was much talented. That's why he put him as a marketing director. But from his point of view, if you look at selling an aircraft monthly, he can sell three or four based on the client market share or maybe industry. But satellite is very limited, right?
So did they
Also,
mention one he was selling only the aircraft, nothing else apart from that, finding a
was
client or
responsible for
sourcing?
sale of aircraft, cargo aircraft. That's what they mentioned.
I'm
It
pretty
was
sure
in
that
the
he was.
past,
Mhm.
and we are using that
Yes.
skills,
Yes,
for the
yes.
current one. And as
Yeah.
we discussed, because of the limited,
Also, it is a challenge for him, right? See, because cargo sailing is different. I'm not sure how the industry, how long it takes. I don't know. But satellite is, very well, right? We have already told to 18 months it takes. So somewhat it is challenging for him as well, right?
yeah,
No, no,
it is.
it's not about
It
selling a
because
flights, right?
Yeah.
I think Misbah, like one thing, probably
yeah,
she was thinking that like it is about selling a flights. It's not selling a flights. It's about the cargo. When they say logistics companies will
Yeah.
be there, right? To transport their products from one place to another place. He used to do the bargaining or negotiation and then selling that space. Say, for example, the way how we are selling the satellites here, there
Correct.
will be
Yeah.
a lot of like a 1U, 3U, 6 and 12 U's like that. There
Correct.
will
Yeah.
be some slots, right?
or
That
it
Okay.
can be
slots we
even
have to
both.
sell it.
Yeah,
Maybe that is related to that.
Yeah.
It's not about selling an aircraft.
Okay. Yeah. But they
but
have
anyway,
mentioned the sale
what
of
the main point is, uh,
I
Shiva,
don't want to deviate
the
it.
point
Sorry for
is
that.
you are saying it's not an ideal person, ideal skills. It's fine.
Yeah.
Therefore, we are looking at, every position we can talk about what are the strengths and weaknesses they have.
Correct. Yeah.
It's fine. Then this one quick point on this political thing. Uh, you can always talk about lobbying. Lobbying is legal in UK. Okay, if you want to put in answer that this skill can be used to lobby, that rules should be in our favor. Yes, that's good. The only problem
Lobbying,
can be
lobbying
with
means,
ethical issue.
sorry, Ms. Sorry to interrupt. Lobbying means exactly what? So it means loot.
Lobbying is to motivate the government to make a regulation which is in the interest of the business, which is beneficial
It's a
for us.
favorable or influencing, not cheating.
Ah, okay.
Like US is also one of the best example where lobbying happens. It's quite openly. The decisions have been taken a lot of times, especially in the insurance industry. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of cases have happened. There is a controversy going on with one of the insurance company recently. The CEO was killed. So, lot of that decision was taken in the interest of the company, not in the interest of the people. Why? Because the lobbying is so strong.
So here we mean to say that lobbying means with the regulations, proper
Yes, yes.
guidelines, the business can overrule the government, right? Take advantage of the government, something like that.
It's not overruling, but yeah, partner with the government. Partner is a better word we can say.
Okay.
Then government
So
grants. And let's be practical. Even if the person is retired from politics 2020, in practical world, he will still have everything what is going on now. He'll have his friends, contact, influence. It's not like he closed his eyes and ears, after retiring from politics. So we are getting the real time support.
correct.
One of the real time example could be the Elon Musk. How
Yes,
he is
yes.
influential in the US government. So especially from the tariff point of view and also like the lobbying that he has done, in order to pitch in for the Indian internet market.
Correct.
Introducing and Starlink to or tying up. So that's what they do. All the lobbying.
Can we also mention that Geo uses BSNL networks and other stuff?
I mean, government support, if you are trying to link, that is not an industry example. So many examples where government has supported particular companies.
Mhm.
It may be because they don't have an alternative, or it is, like they have relationship. That's what I was saying. Lobbying can be done. The problem comes with ethics and how you can justify. If imagine government is supporting and it is leading to a bad reputation in the market, or the stakeholders are looking at it that this company is not ethical. They are just successful because they are having government support. That is also not good for us in the long term.
Got it.
In public, we don't want to be looked at it like that.
Okay.
Now moving on to the last independent director, Manal or Manal Rami. Manal worked for a major quoted civil engineering company, starting as a surveyor and rising to seat in the company's board of director of operations. This person is coming from a different way, but being on the board in the previous role will also make a lot of difference. To understand how the decisions have been made, what are the business acumen they need. Because when is somebody at the senior position, maybe it's coming from civil engineering, finance, sales, anything, is totally different. They're expected to have a good knowledge about the industry and also to understand a little bit of finance and other areas also. So somebody coming from the board can be an advantage. She has retired from full-time employment. She combines her seat on Leothayre's board with directorship of Easttown College, a further education college. Manal joined Leothayre's board in 2020. I think most of the people are just coming from education industry, or it is strategically designed to get support from the institution so we can reduce the cost on research and development. But again, having so many can be a questionable thing.
Yeah.
If everybody comes from the education,
One question.
Yeah.
One question. Please look into the spelling of that Leothayre's board and Leothayre. Is it different organizations? She combines her seat on Leothayre board with the directorship of Easttown College, and she joined with the Leothayre on board in 2020.
I think
It's a spelling mistake.
Because what they are saying is she combines on Leothayre's board with. She is combining with this. I believe it's the same. Maybe spelling mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Misbah, from the corporate governance point of view, because I have not read that completely, so I'm asking this silly question. Having a combined her seat with the Leothayre's board as well as the directorship in the Easttown College, is it allowed from the UK corporate governance? What are the?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Because the Preseen says she combines her seat with Leothayre board as well as the Easttown College, right? Is it allowed as part of the corporate governance rule that we have in the UK?
Yeah. So for executive directors, it can be challenging to justify how they are managing both. But for non-executive directors, it's allowed. The only thing is they need to justify the contribution they are doing. So later on, we'll be discussing about the committees also. So nomination committee will look at it. If that person is managing two positions, are they contributing? Are they good enough? If we feel like they are not contributing or they are overwhelmed with so much of work, we'll not have that person as a board member. But legally, can they do it? The answer is yes.
Because she is a full-time directorship, right?
Maybe that is also a non-executive directorship, not an executive one. So when somebody is non-executive, the workload is very, very low. It's more about scrutinizing and overseeing the things. But when it comes to execution, you have to take the entire responsibility and work on that.
Okay.
There are a lot of people who are executive in their business plus non-executive in other businesses. Like Warren Buffett is a good example. He's non-executive director in so many companies. In fact, any individual who is very successful and being an we'll say like an example of achievement, people want that person to come as an executive director. Why? Because it will increase company's reputation, even if they are giving minimum efforts or minimum time. On based on that person profile, they can market, they can bring good reputation for the business. Yeah. So looking at the numbers also, we have seen that we are less of 3 non-executive directors. So as a homework, you can do some research. What are the 3 skills we can add? Maybe we can discuss a little bit now also. What are the 3 skills? Why we are short of 2 non-executive directors? Because ideally we need 50 plus 50, 50%, 50% plus executive chair. So we have 5 executive directors and 3 non-executive directors. And we don't count chair as separate. Technically, chair is also non-executives. But why chair is not being counted? Because we want more non-executive in the board. If it is 5:3, then the executive can dominate. And usually non-executives might not join. Let's say all 3 cannot be present in most of the meeting. Maybe 2 of them is joining. Sometimes this 2, other time other 2, like that. Or maybe 3 sometimes. But mostly executives, all 5 will be there because they are full-time employees.
We have a room for only one more NED, no? That is correct, no?
We have room for 2, Joseph.
We could add legal and governance, somebody from legal and governance.
Legal, yes, very important point. I was coming to that.
Legal
We
compliance.
have a litigation risk coming in this business. Yeah, Abu, continue.
Maybe sustainability could be another.
Sustainability means what? What skill we are looking at?
Like, somebody who is experienced in handling space debris, green launches, sort of.
Right. Or maybe somebody who is in today's world, this communities, we can say, or NGOs have got a good strength, very easily influencing people. So why can't we get somebody who is running an NGO with the environmental groups who are genuinely helping the community?
Also, since Leothayre is dealing with international cross-border strategy, somebody with global trade, or somebody has a cross-border experience could help as well in terms of strategical decision making.
Possible. What else we can get in? What other?
Cyber security, digital infra could be another. IT.
Basically, a software.
Not infra right. Is not software. Cyber security is not only software. It depends on your infra as well.
No, that's a physical security. You mean?
Both.
Physical asset.
Could be somebody with that. Then also maybe we can look at somebody human resource, like in terms of people management.
Yes. So legal is one thing.
Misbah, one question. Misbah, one question.
Yes, Joseph.
This Alice Salvis will not be considered as non-executive director, no?
Why?
No, I was looking because you said we have 2 more seats for non-executive directors, because 5 directors are there and the 4 non-executive directors are there.
Chairperson we are not counting, Joseph.
Yeah, then it is coming 4 by 4, no?
No, how it is coming 4 by 4? This 3 only, no? Professor Alice is 1, Kevin is 2, then Manal is 3rd. That's it.
Please come down in the screen. Please little bit come down. This 4 directors are there, no?
You mean 4 non-executive?
Yeah, 4 non-executives are there, as well as 4 directors also there, no?
Okay.
Please
make it simple. I'll go into the top. Okay. Firstly, we have a chairperson, Fatima. So we are not counting. Apart from the chairperson, we need 50-50. Okay.
Okay.
Robert is executive. Min is executive. Alex is executive. MS is executive. How many done? 4. Mark 5. Then we are going into non-executive. Non-executive means independent. So we have Professor Alice 1, Kevin 2, and Manal 3.
Who is, no, we are not considering as non-executive?
We are considering everyone. I am saying the
Ah.
chairperson, what the
Yeah,
unit
in-
government policy says is
In addition to chairperson, 5 executives are there, yes.
in addition to chairperson, we
yeah.
need to have 50%, minimum 50%.
Yes, 5 is there right now. Yeah. So including the chairperson, we have 6.
Chair you don't count at all.
Chair we are not counting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one board we
Excluding
have
chair,
5.
5 is there. Yeah.
5 is there. In non-executive only we have 3. So Misbah is asking what is the another 2 that we can add on. That's what his question was.
No, this Professor Alice is non-executive director, no?
Yes, yes.
NED, then Kevin is NED. 2. Yeah, Manal is 3. Yes, okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So what
Thank
we'll
you.
do in tomorrow's session is